Hello students, this is Mr. Balicki, and I'm going to walk you through my class policies. By watching this on video as opposed to in class, that will enable us to do some more interesting and fun things at the beginning of the school year, and will also give you a record to refer back to should you have any questions about essential class policies. So please make sure that you're following along on the worksheet that I've provided you with in order to complete your first homework assignment of the year. So, to begin, it is essential that the classroom be an environment of mutual respect. I should be respectful of you, you should be respectful of me, and you should be respectful of each other. Our classroom is going to be this way not only because it goes in line with my personal beliefs, but also because a classroom that is an environment of mutual respect involving a variety of people from diverse backgrounds is very much like our increasingly collaborative and globalized scientific field. So by working together in order to learn science, you are not only learning about the content of science, but you're learning about how science progresses in our society in the 21st century. So we're all going to have to be respectful of each other in order for this to happen. If at any point you feel that you are not being respected or someone else in class is not being respected, you should tell me immediately. It's like they say on the T, if you see something, say something. If I see something, I will say something. There is no place in the classroom for cheating of any form. This could include copying, this could include plagiarism, this could involve sharing answers for assessments with people who have not yet taken the answers. None of these forms of cheating will be tolerated in my classroom. In the event of emergencies, we need to talk about a couple of protocols. First of all, the stairwell to take to exit the building during a fire drill is the stairwell right outside of my classroom door. It leads to a back stairwell which exits behind the dining hall, and that is the stairwell that we take in order to get to our meeting spot, which is right in front of the freight farm outside of the dining hall. Some other safety related things involving doing lab experiments in the classroom. You will need a pair of lab goggles either that you yourself already own or purchased in the past from the school, or that you can purchase from the school at the beginning of the year. If you do not have a pair that you own, I have a class set which will be shared and cleaned in between uses during the year. So you will always need splash-proof goggles. You can have those either as ones that you already own, or as ones that you purchased at the beginning of the year, or as ones that you use that are mine, that will be cleaned intermittently. Safety is the absolute most important habit that you follow when you're carrying out science in the laboratory. You have a safety contract which needs to be read and signed by both you and a parent, and I will model safe science practices throughout the entire school year whenever we're experimenting or studying science in the lab. In the classroom, a couple of protocols that you should know about. When you are absent, extra handouts can be found in the extras folder, which is on the shelf right by the door that goes out into the hallway that you will pass through in between classes. If you ever lose something in the classroom, it'll be kept in the lost and found. The lost and found is on the shelf on the windowsill near my desk. There is a pencil sharpener on the middle shelf on the windowsill in the classroom. This is one of the windowsills that doesn't have a window, but rather has a lot of posters hung up behind it because that's where the new wing of the school is. There is a first aid kit on the bookshelf at the front of the school. And on the whiteboard in the classroom, daily objectives for AP Chemistry or Biology 1 or for Earth Science for 7th graders will always be posted. Whenever you leave the classroom, below the daily objectives, there is a sign-out book. If you are late for class, there is a late book that you will have to sign into in order for me to keep a record of that. So now some course essentials. Homework. When you have homework, it can be found in two places. One is written up on the chalkboard, the front of the room, keeping it old school to go along with our oldest of all public schools in the country. And it will also be on the calendar, which you can access through Google Classroom. If you ever miss a day or forget what you have to do for class the next day, the best place to find out is to go to Google Classroom and check that calendar. If you ever need to talk to me personally, if you ever need to talk to your teacher, you got some questions about something, best time to find me is right before school. I have office hours in particular early on Tuesdays and after school on Wednesdays. But if you have a quick question, stop by at 7:25. It's a great time to talk. If you need to get in touch with me outside of school, my email address is sbalicki@bostonpublicschools.org. I will always answer my emails within a day. If you email me at a reasonable hour at night, I will get back to you that night and do my best to respond to your questions before they turn into problems. So if you have a pressing need, don't hesitate to reach out, and I will not hesitate to get right back to you. If a parent wants to reach out to me, the best way, again, is to email me at sbalicki@bostonpublicschools.org. I also have a dedicated Google Voice number only for school, which also isn't going to set off notifications late at night. And that number is 857-230-0930. Parents can call that if they want to try and initiate a phone conversation. That's a better phone number to call than the school's phone number, which I will only check my mailbox for intermittently. You will need for class 3 things every day, regardless of whether you're in AP Chemistry, Biology 1, or 7th grade Earth Science. You will always need a binder. You will need writing instruments. In the case of 7th graders, you'll need a pencil case filled with pencils. And you will need a calculator for class each and every day. AP Chemistry, you're going to need a TI graphing calculator. Biology 1 and Earth Science, you're going to need some form of calculator in the event that we're doing calculations. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about assessment. Grades are based on 3 general areas. Okay, so about a third of your grade is going to come from exams, about a third is going to come from lab reports and projects, and about a third is going to come from your binder and homework, with much more of that final third coming from the binder and about 10% coming from the homework. Unannounced or pop quizzes, you might have heard them referred to, will not be averaged towards your grade. I reserve the right to give ungraded formative assessments so that I can learn about your progress and make decisions in my teaching based upon what I find out. So every time that you put pen to paper in the classroom does not necessarily contribute points towards your grade. In class, we'll be working in groups nearly every day, if not every single day, in all 3 of the classes that I'll be teaching. 2 useful things to do when working in groups, and I will say that we will find out many strategies for working in groups. But 2 useful things to think about when you're working in groups is to always presume positive intentions when people ask questions or for clarification, and to monitor your own airtime. Make sure that you are not a person who never speaks up in a group. Make sure you are not the only person who is speaking in a group. During class, if you are absent for a day, you're expected to make up your work within a day. If you are out for a longer absence, if you're pretty sick, you should talk to me so that we can work out a plan so that you can get back on track and recover from illness, injury, or what have you. Now, in our increasingly modern in my increasingly modern way of collecting assignments, you're going to be able to submit things in a variety of ways. If I'm asking for an assignment that is written in pen or pencil, I don't expect to get an email with a Google Doc. If I'm asking for an assignment to be submitted via a Google Doc, say it's through Classroom or say it's through other venues that you'll learn about this year, I don't expect to have it printed out and handed to me or turned in pen and paper. It's important for me to be able to stay organized. So it's going to be important for you to make sure that you're following the proper submission format for assignments. I will prepare you for this. If you're completely unfamiliar with digitally submitting assignments, don't worry about it. I plan on teaching you everything that you need to know. If you're super familiar with it, I look forward to learning things from you. Okay, but this is not something that I'm just going to expect everyone to know how to do immediately when walking into my classroom. Now, this last section is going to be all about getting smarter in science, and I use that phrase purposefully because I believe that our goal in science class, besides learning about super exciting, interesting content, is also to grow our brains. All right, and so in order to grow our brains, there are 6 what I call strategies for success that enable us to purposefully get smarter in science. These strategies are time, focus, resourcefulness, commitment, and persistence. All right, so it's important to think about these strategies for success as we try and find ways in order to grow smarter in science. Preparing for exams, there are 2 particular things that we can do in order to purposefully prepare for exams. One of those is to spread out our studying. Don't cram the night before, but rather study over several nights. And the second thing is to study actively. Don't passively open a book, but rather do practice problems, redo assignments from class, self-test, stuff like that. And so now as we get to the end of the worksheet, about 12 minutes in here, I'm going to ask you to sit and write about one successful learning strategy that you've used in the past, whether that was in 6th grade last year or whether that was in 11th grade last year. What is one successful learning strategy that you've used that you want to make sure that you use again this year? And what is one potentially successful learning strategy that you've heard me talking about just now that you expect to use this year? Having adequately paused, and I'm not sure if people can hear the dog barking in the background that I'm hearing right now, but I've come to the end of the screencast, so I hope you have all of the sections completed, and I look forward to working with you throughout the school year.